In this video, we're going to be carrying on taking a look at each and every 3 threat in the game and ranking them S through to D. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming. I hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this part 2 of what will probably be a 3-part video for this threat level. And then who knows for the rest of the threat levels, because there's probably just as much 4 threats in the game now as there are 3. But we managed to get all the way from, I want to say, Angel up to Ghost Spider last video, but joining me to go through all of these and carrying on the 3 threats is Mr. Quinn Duggan. Quinn, how the hell are you doing, sir? The beard is coming on. It's been a minute.
I mean, it looks like you're trying to emulate me at this point.
Are you? I see you're copying my beard.
You copied my beard, yeah.
No, this has been shared. This is as long as I like mine to get. Otherwise, it starts getting annoying. We're not going to do all the preamble, Quinn, because we sort of did that last time. But let's just recap, I suppose, and take a quick look at where we were last time and what we ended up with. So in S tier, we had Zemo, Black Cat, and Ghost Spider. A tier, and sorry, just to clarify, S tier kind of evolved as we were doing the video. But what we're saying is S tier are characters that they need looking at and they need toning down slightly. They've just got a little bit too much going for them, haven't they?
Yeah, and the opposite is true for D tier as well.
D tier, they're undertuned and they need a little bit more. You've then got A tier, who are going to be really good, but don't quite breach into that egregious level that S tiers are.
Yeah, like they're really good and they're very splashable, but they aren't in need of any addressing.
Yeah. B tier, perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable, middle of the road characters, good in certain situations, bad in others. C tier, again, fine, but it may be that they're not quite D tier, but they might just need a tiny little bit of something, or it could just be that there's better options because of the affiliations they're in, or even the name of the character, as one Natasha Romanoff has found out. So, Quinn, carrying it on, we are on to Groot, who is, I would say, rarely played without his 2-threat counterpart. I think is fair to say.
Yeah, his 2-threat counterpart, as we discussed in the last video, a bit good. Groot is kind of like, he's almost tacked on to make it a 5-threat duo, right? But
yeah,
he's got legs in and of himself, I feel.
He does, yeah. 4-2-3, so susceptible to energy, but 7 stamina with an inbuilt remove 3 damage for 2 power is really good. Tangling Vines is not to be underestimated either. Just have a root, because he can use it as many times as he wants. His strike's really good, range 3, strength 5. And then his spender is really good. It costs a lot, 5 power, but unlimited character size throw, omnidirectional character throw, medium, and then they're just staggered off the back end of it automatically.
And neither effect is conditional either. They just happen.
Quite often I'm not wanting this to actually kill someone or to daze them or KO them, because I want that. I mean, you always get the throw anyway, Quinn, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And then I often think staggering somebody and making them just take a horrible turn can be more impactful than dazing. Medium base, medium move.
Short move.
Short move even. Yeah, medium base, medium move, he'd have been great. Size 3. He's fine. I think you see him in Guardians. You don't really see him elsewhere.
Some people take him and Rocket together as like a 5-threat splash in some wider affiliations. It's also important to note he does have We Are Groot as a tactic card, which is unrestricted healing.
Unrestricted healing. Spend
only like 2 power, right?
I think it's 2 power. and then everyone within range 4, or every allied character within range 4, removes 2 damage, including himself.
And any living plants himself, it's like, cool, I'm just taking 5 damage off myself. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
so
okay.
that's not to be sniffed at. Obviously, the other half of the Deadly Duo card as well, which is not restricted to just Guardians. But I think he's fine, Quinn. I think he's perfectly fine. That 2 energy defense kind of balances him out a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, I think so.
So for me, Quinn, I think he's middle of the road, like perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. He's not getting out of B tier, I don't think.
No, he's definitely staying in there. I'd put him probably between Ock and Panther, would be.
Well, I was going to say Panther and Angel, so I think
Okay.
we're in the same ballpark, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I think maybe his tactics card, that healing tactics card, just bumps him
up a
above
little bit. Yeah.
above Chosen of Bast.
I would note that if there were changes to Rocket, like I would like to see, because Rocket's a bit good, that I think does have a significant impact on group.
Yes, yeah, I would agree.
Especially like within affiliation, right? Because if Rocket takes a hit and is therefore less played in Guardians, I think that means Groot is less played in Guardians, which I think bumps Drax's stock up.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I don't think Drax is ever going to get out unless, I mean, Thralls of Dracula is probably the best place he's ever going to be.
He's kind of got 2 affiliations now, which is kind of the fun thing.
Yeah. Interesting to see if the new changes or potential changes to Thralls of Dracula, what impact that will have.
I think that just makes Drax even better in it.
Being able to heal 1.
Like on a character that has higher than average stamina for threat and damage reduction is pretty good.
It's not bad, is it? It is not bad. And B is for Quinn.
Oh, the blooming.
Blooming. I like it.
I forgot the alphabet game was a thing for a second, and I had to scramble.
you were scrambling there. Clinton Barton next, aka Hawkeye. 4-2-2 really doesn't stand up well to anything but
you can
physical.
tell it was an early release, can't you?
Definite early release, but he has one job, right? Hold a back point, pop some damage out. He can choose whether it's physical or energy, and it can give out bleed, shock, slow, or poison, which is fine. I do see people still play him in Defenders a little bit. His hook arrow means he can get into a good position. His trick shot means, ignoring line of sight and, no cover. And then, fast draw.
Oh, I've seen that used so many times in my life.
Hawkeye into Hawkeye is quite funny when you get the fast draw.
Also, weirdly, there's the whole thing with trick shot. You can pay for it at the end of his activation, and then it will apply to just the next shot he makes because it doesn't have any condition of like expiring.
Yep, and you can use it more than so you can pay for it once, do it, and then kind of keep it in your back pocket for the fast draw.
Which is if he really needs to spend power, he can just pay like for trick shot 5 times, then make one shot, and they're all gone. Which, sure, why not?
Why not? Why not, indeed? I think his home is really Defenders. I don't really think you see him anywhere else.
I mean, we're talking like 3 threats in Defenders. You're going up against Valkyrie, Iron Fist, and like a whole other like plethora of characters.
Yeah, it's rough, isn't it? He gets an extra stamina on his flipped side. It's like, just turn. I mean, he should be 5-5, right? Let's be honest.
I mean, I love that this 3 threat is just like flat worse than Rocket. Like, way worse than Rocket.
He's, hook arrow's okay, and,
Why doesn't he have a spender, Rich? Why?
I know.
Like, would it have been that hard to give him like a spend that's got like a not quite ricochet on it, so he can shoot multiple people in a go? Like,
or
it gives something
or a
from
blast,
power on.
or you roll a wild and you get to pick people within
Yeah,
range 3 that take a damage or something. Yeah,
something,
yeah.
anything.
So I think it's fair to say, Quinn, he is. So the thing is that he is undertuned, but
He's quite
is he
considerably undertuned, I feel.
is he D tier? Is he
Given
in
that
the
the only
depths?
thing this character does is roll like an average number of dice, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
even the other characters in D tier can do more stuff than that.
Do you know what would be really nice is something like trick shot, ignoring stealth or something.
Hmm.
Got round a little bit of the tech that makes him not as good. If you could ignore stealth on a character and you're coming up against the web warriors or something,
Yeah.
I feel like that would be fine. Because then being able to put, a shock on them or a slow on them is quite nice.
Or if he had like a way to like mark a character in some way,
Like for
like
death, like a character was
yeah,
marked for
almost like Mark
death.
for Death. You can see where I got this line of thought from, but I'm thinking like, you know how like Craven and Lockjaw have the extra dice thing. It'd be
Yeah,
cool if like when he shot someone, if he got like a trigger of like a crit wild or a crit hit or whatever, he put like a marker beacon on them or something, and like the next attack into that character by any allied character has like an extra dice or two. Would
that'd
just
be
be a
pretty
cool
cool.
little thing to like give him a bit of like pizzazz, you know?
Yeah, I do think something around the whole stealth mechanic would be cool, but yeah, they seemingly don't want to hurt web warriors in any way, shape, or form, do they? So yeah, does I mean I don't feel like I can put him in D tier, even with all of that.
Let's
At
be
least,
honest. How much worse than Darkstar is he?
oh, so much worse.
Worse?
Yeah,
You
sorry,
think he's
sorry, no. Darkstar is so much worse than Hawkeye.
is
Is
she though?
Yeah, because
Like objectively, you look at her attack, like her builder and his builder, she's got access to a full reroll. Her like she's got something interesting on there. She's
he can
got a spender. She's
he
got
can
like actual abilities that can influence the game other than being I'm stood over here now.
does the arrow shot need to be dropped down from 5 dice to 4 just to increase his damage output? Do you think?
I mean, if you give it like a rapid fire trigger, then hell yeah. I'd take that. Range 5 rapid fire, yes please.
I'd kind of be okay with that.
Like
Yeah,
give him like a range 5 rapid fire, flat gainer, and give him like a 5 cost spender that does
because
like something wild.
the thing is, like Bullseye, who is a
Yeah,
threat
Hawkeye is
less,
just worse bullseye and worse rocket, and it's like, oh great.
and I mean, it can be physical or energy, I suppose, can't it? Which is fine.
Great.
But I do think Darkstar is worse. Like she's got loads of stuff on her car, but she can't use them. Like at least he can use everything that he's got.
Yeah, and he'll still have like 10 power left over by the end of his activation because he can literally never spend enough of it.
Don't you feel like if he was released now, he'd have some really cool things. And I'm not saying Silver Sable is a good character, but he would have some cool things
He'd have some
like
like tech
Silver
to him.
Sable,
Yeah,
like you know, in what's it called, the Crow's Nest or Hawk's? I suppose it'd be a Hawk's Nest, wouldn't it? But
something like that, yeah.
like
And then that would
yeah,
in turn make like his hook arrow better because it could get him up to the location where he wants to set up. Like
yeah.
there'd be a lot more to him, and it feels like he's kind of been hard done by.
He has been hard done by. Yeah, he
But
has been hard done
equally,
by.
because AMG can't keep their mouth shut, we know we're getting another one of them.
We do know we're getting another one. I'd love a Ronin version. Like,
We are getting a Ronin version.
oh, is it a Ronin? Oh, no, we've seen the
Yeah,
sculpt,
because they
haven't we?
confirmed it was him, even though they were being mysterious about it, and it was like, oh, because I had the idea of like, oh, what if like you had a different ability for each identity that's been Ronin? But no, it's just Clint.
Yeah, it's just Clem.
Like, great.
But yeah, and that probably pushes him down even further, right?
Yeah, because he's
When you
just
get
gonna have another like
somebody
name
else with the
competing for
same
his
name.
slot. Yeah,
So
like I think with that in mind, that shoves him into D.
yeah, but I do think he's better than Darkstar. He can have an impact straight away on the game. He can. Like Darkstar just doesn't do anything.
I mean, Hawkeye doesn't do much more.
Okay.
Like the
Okay.
thing is, like Hawkeye is arguably better at the start of a game. Darkstar is objectively better the longer a game
She
goes on in
is.
comparison.
She is.
Like
Yeah, she is. And D is for
Death.
yes, yes, because he is in the Old Man Logan comic. I reread that the other week actually. Such a good comic.
Isn't he just like deaf in everything now?
Oh, is he? Or
I
is he?
think he's got like
Oh,
a hearing impairment in everything now.
I think he's blind actually in
Yeah,
Old
he's
Man
blind in
Logan.
Old Man
Yeah, he's
Logan.
blind in Old Man
He's
Logan, isn't he?
like it's just been established for a long time that I think he's got a hearing impairment in like standard continuity.
Yeah. But yeah, D is for deaf. There we go. Heimdall, the all-seeing next Quinn. A character I think a lot of us thought, oh, this is what Asgard really needed. He's bringing some re-rolls. He's bringing some consistency. He's got, some movement.
He just falls so flat. Like
Because, again, you look at his card and you're like, he's got a lot of really cool stuff on there. But he suffers a bit like a lot of the other three threats on this list where you have to, even though he gains an extra power per turn, you still really need to think about what you're spending your power on with him.
yeah, because he's not very good at building it.
He's not very good. Just a straight up 5 die strike with not. I mean, okay, he can re-roll his own dice if he wants, but then
Okay, but that doesn't help him
that
build
kind
power
of
because he has to spend it to re-roll. Like
that's what I was saying. It kind of defeats the object. And re-rolling when but when they're rolling for what is it? What is it? Alternative when an allied character within 3 rolls dice for a crisis card or team tactic card. There we go. The allied character may re-roll up to 2 of its own die.
which already is like diminished in value since we got rid of like old scrolls and alien ship, right?
Yeah. So the value of that has gone down. I really think Heimdall should have probably been a 4 threat, and they
Yeah.
maybe reduced the cost of some of these things. Guardian, for example, being 2 rather than 3. That's a really nice, play. And maybe a little something on his strike.
I'd have liked it if he just had something around the fact that he himself is all-seeing, like a self buff that's just kind of an always-on innate, rather than like him re-rolling for other people is fine, but I'd have liked something to do with the fact that he sees everything as a combatant. Like if they just had like a flat rule on him that was just anytime this character rolls fails in its attack or defense, it may re-roll those fails. Like,
So I think either that or a scientist type thing where every time you roll X, you get a power. As another way of being able to get a bit more power
it
to
could
be
be
able
cool
to do
to have that as like an aura around him of like when an allied character within 3 rolls like a fail, he gets a power. And like then you can start like actually having an engine for him. And then
in that
gives him
case,
a
maybe
place
you
to
don't.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just give him something. Like being 3s across the board as well is a bit sad for an Asgardian, I feel.
Yeah, and I feel like if they bumped him up to a 4 threat, he could be a 4-3-3 or even a 4-4-3, maybe a 4-3-4, something,
Yeah,
something
also,
like that.
I'd have liked it if Hawthorne, instead of being a push on damage, had just been a flat you place them within like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like, because it's him shunting them through the Bifrost, right? Like, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, a bit like what Kitty Pryde does, where it's like she's doing all sorts of bits and moving through them and
Yeah.
stuff, but kind of in reverse, where you're moving your opponent. Yeah, he just falls a little flat, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think
And
he's.
I mean, he's not even in my Asgard list, like because
Why would he be? Like, Valkyrie and Scourge both exist. Like,
yeah, yeah,
he's the third and final three-threat Asgardian, and no one wants him.
no, no. Whereas I think as a fourth threat that did something very different, he
Yeah.
could have gone in there as a bit of a tech piece
Yeah, I could have
to
seen
do
that.
stuff, but.
Like, if he'd been like the Asgard control piece, I think that would have been fine, right?
Yeah, and the problem now is that you've got Loki who can do the places, but
Yeah.
for a power less, and
So it's
can
online
be
turn one. Yeah.
gives rerolls for less power because it's only one power. So it's yeah,
Like, there's so much you
he's
could have done with him as well in terms of like, you know how Jean Grey has that ability that stops people being like pushed and like. You could have done stuff like that for Heimdall, where he, like, it's effectively, rather than him stopping it happening, he opens the portal behind them and they end up back where they were in the first place.
yeah,
Kind of
after
thing.
a character within range 3 at the beginning of the push is
Yeah,
pushed or placed,
if
he
he'd been
can
all about, like, displacement, both, like, stopping it for his own guys and then, like, doing it to the enemy, I think he could have had, like, some really interesting character design, but he's just very flat.
yeah.
Like,
I'd have even
rerolls
been
can only ever be so exciting.
Yeah, and I'd have been like he just needs power, and then like you say they kind of missed the mark on him a little bit, didn't they? I think
Yeah, I think so.
even though he's got some cool stuff on his card, again it's that accessibility of them, isn't it? Like if you don't have any power, then it's really hard to to actually be able to do all the things. Does he
Yeah.
bring a card, Quinn? I don't feel like he does he?
I
No.
don't think so.
No.
Because I
And
think
again,
Executioner brings like 2 cards in that box, doesn't he? And then there's Rainbow Bridge was Angela and Enchantress. I think there's another
yeah.
Asgard card in there or something.
There might be an Asgard card that he brings in his box, but I don't think
I don't think it's related to him.
it's related to him. I mean, like, how does mass transit or Nightcrawler? Like, why has Heimdall not got a card that is like?
That would have been cool, yeah.
But I suppose they already had the Rainbow Bridge. He's already the guardian of the Bifrost, but still, I feel like they could have. They could have done
just-
something with him, but
Anything of interest would have been worth it.
I don't think he's utterly terrible, Quinn.
I don't think he's like, Hawkeye tier or anything like that.
No. Where are you thinking positioning wise?
I think he's hanging out with Widow, personally.
I feel like he. Well, let's go through them. I don't think he's as good as Gambit.
No, I think Gambit's
I feel like Gambit
much
can be
better
put
than
in a
Heimdall, right?
scenario and and be good.
I'd argue Mordo is a better support piece.
Yeah.
Because
Is he better than
Mordo can actually, fuel his own power economy.
Is he better than Crossbones?
Crossbones has got, a actual beam builder. Like,
Do we think he's there then?
I'd argue he's lower.
There.
Because, let's face it, if Widow if Widow was Yelena instead of, Natasha, then she wouldn't even be in that C tier. She'd arguably be, at the bottom of B.
She'd probably go up one just because she's not being character locked by
Whereas
two other
Heimdall
characters.
doesn't have that going against him. He's the only Heimdall. He's just not very good.
Yeah, sad really, isn't it? Because I really wanted him to be good, but
Yeah, I mean, and also there's always going to be an argument of, oh, he's good in Steve One Avengers. And it's like, so is everyone else.
everyone with a
Being good
superpower
in
is
Steve One
good.
Avengers does not save you everywhere else in the game.
No,
And I
No,
say
it
this
doesn't.
as one of the former Steve One Avengers players that this game has probably had. No.
yeah, it's like you said, that just doesn't cut it, does it? Because he is good in Steve One Avengers, but so are loads of other characters that are Avengers. So there we go. And Sequin is for.
Cloaked Savior.
Oh, so I thought you were going to go with like
Go on.
crappy CGI from the last movie.
I mean, that was more his son than him, though, right? With the
That is true.
stupid, spooky floating head.
That is true.
Yeah, he's going about in his cloak when Hela's ruling Asgard, saving people. So we'll go with that.
Yeah. Parker Robbins up next, Quinn, aka the Hood. Two versions of this character. We've got the Hood normal, who is a 2/2/3, has a whole bunch of mystic attacks, can remove 3 damage off a character, but if they do, they get the blade. Invisibility cloak, so he gets to use his mystic attack for 2 power, which is 3 dice rather than 2, counting blanks, which is better, but I think
you'd really wish he was just 3s across the board, wouldn't you?
Well, or 2/2/4, because then there was value in using that.
I mean, 4 including blanks is a lot, I feel.
But only on this side, right? Only on this side. And then he's got a couple of triggers there. So when this character is damaged by an enemy effect, after the effect is resolved, this character may transform into the Hood possessed. And then if this character is dazed, he must transform into the Hood possessed. So you've got one that you can choose and then one that is optional. Hood possessed side is pretty good damage wise. Empowered Dark Lightning is pretty darn good, but he can only ever do it once, because as soon as he's done it, he has to go back into Hood normal. Razor Talons is quite good, but again, if you daze or KO your opponent, you have to go into Hood normal. He's got a charge, reduces damage by 2, but he does have that mystic vulnerability. Still 2/2/3 across the board. Small base, medium move, size 2. I think he is fine.
I am going to defer to you because I know I am massively biased against this character.
He brings some really nice stuff in niche scenarios.
He's never once done anything of worth for me, so therefore I'm gonna hold my hands up. I know that I'm biased here, so I'm gonna just bow out of this one because he's just never done anything.
Having a rapid fire mystic can be really nice. Obviously, only in certain matchups. The Dark Lightning and the Empowered Dark Lightning being able to do chip damage in and around, and it's a guaranteed shock. Again, can be quite nice. Black Arts can be really good in certain affiliations who can just get rid of conditions. So I played him a little bit in my Winter Guard. I've actually tried him and had quite a lot of success with him in Dracula as well.
Yeah.
Because either Dracula's getting extra power and healing, or your character you've done it on can just heal it off anyway with the potential new ruling we've got on there. So I think he's fine. I think he's absolutely fine. He doesn't do anything exceptional. The one thing that lets him down is you don't always get to choose when you transform. And, for example, if you really want to do an Empowered Dark Lightning, right, but you're a power off from being able to do it, you do a Razor Talons, you spike, you KO your opponent or daze them, you can't then do an Empowered Dark Lightning, which can be really frustrating.
I have a question, Rich.
Go ahead.
Why does the character with an invisibility cloak not have a stealth ability? Why?
Well, yeah, and and all his attacks are range 3 as well. So
if you make him 3/3/3 and turn invisibility cloak into just an innate that gives him stealth, he's much better in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say, or something else other than stealth, but it doesn't matter anymore, does it? Because the card that
No, because
stops that has gone
the
away.
cool card was taken away by AMG because they don't like fun,
Yeah,
but
but
they love my warriors.
even with all that being said, Quinn, I think he's absolutely fine. He's not a he's not a workhorse piece. He's not he's not just I can throw that in there. He's not a Zemo, right, where you can throw him in
Yeah,
anywhere and he's going to excel. But if you've got a specific plan, if you've got ways of being able to get around the bleed that he gives out and things like that, he can be perfectly fine. He does bring a card, which actually isn't bad. Like Hood's Gang, I
gives
don't think
re-rolls
is
against people on objectives. I want to say.
well. Hood's Gang. So first of all, it's free to play it.
Okay. Doesn't he have to play it when he's normal
He
though?
has to play it when he's normal. Yes.
Right.
But even if he flips, then it's still fine. And he's got to play it during his activation. This round, when an allied character is attacking an enemy contesting or holding an objective token, the allied character may re-roll one of its attack dice. And it's board wide, right? It's a pretty good card. It's just it'd be even better if he didn't have to play it on his turn, because it means you're almost having to go with him first.
You're forced into an early activation, and that's arguably counterintuitive to what the non-possessed version wants to do, because he wants to wait till people are damaged to then heal them, right?
Well, to then heal them, or there's somebody left with 2 damage on them, and he gets that chip damage into them, which takes them off the board without even needing to attack them and stuff. But it's fine. If I've ever had Hood in my list and I've needed a 10th card, it's perfectly fine to put in there as your 10th card option. I don't think it bumps him up any further.
No, I don't think it has a bearing on where he places.
But I think, again, he's perfectly serviceable. I think he's middle of the road, but towards the bottom end of B tier is where I'd be putting him.
I'd put him like mid B. I don't think he's bottom B by any. The people who are bottom B arguably have a thing that goes against them, right?
Well,
Ant-Man
and he
Beast.
does have the whole transform thing, which can be super annoying.
Yeah,
if he transforms at the wrong
it
time.
is actually pretty rough.
And it's a little bit like Beast's ambush thing, where it's it's something that can happen, but it's never a may, and you never know. So I think about there is about right for him.
I think that's fair.
And B Quinn is for
Black Art.
Black Arts. Bobby Drake next, Quinn. Iceman. Feels like a character that kind of came and went for X-Men, because they just had so many
Well, he came
get
in that
released.
big wave where the main releases, if we're being honest, were Nightcrawler Bishop. That was the big box of that wave, and arguably Kitty as well, because Kitty's cool.
Yeah. A beam giving out slow is not bad at all. 4-3-3 above the curve for stat line. 5-5, I want to say, on stamina. Yep. So again, just absolutely fine. Kind of where he is. A 3 threat that can do a stagger on a range 3 attack on just a wild is pretty good.
It's not bad, yeah.
Especially under a certain Scott, where you can change. Oh, is it Scott that can change your dice? No, it's not, is it? I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of Steve 2.
Steve 2, yeah. Or technically Steve 3.
No, Steve
2. Freeze and Fade. It's hit and run, but he counts as size 5, so he can get over terrain. Fine.
Great.
Ice Slide, he gets to place a allied character within 2, and lastly, Cold Snap. When a character ends a move action or makes an attack action within 2 of this character, it gains the slow condition. They've already got slow. they take a damage instead, which
Like,
can
that's
be
pretty
annoying.
cool.
It can be
Like,
annoying, yeah, it can be really annoying. So I think for me, Iceman is perfectly fine.
yeah.
His problem is
Does he have a card?
he does. He has a team up card with Emma.
Oh.
So it's called Untapped
Yeah.
Potential.
Potential, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's Iceman's activation, Emma Frost may play this card. During this activation, superpowers and attacks used by Iceman may spend power from either Iceman or Emma Frost. Attacks made by Iceman, this activation add 1 die to their attack rolls, which with his beam is not bad.
Yeah.
But Iceman may use superpowers on his stat card any number of times, even if they say they can be used only once. So it's a big power dump. You can use a lot of power on Emma to move people around and do things and whatever else. But
I mean,
yeah,
no, it's just not very good, is it?
it's really not. No, it's really not.
Because Emma Frost is notorious for having loads of power all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, she doesn't need power
Right.
to spend on anything.
You know, like, ugh. Don't like it.
Yeah. So I think he would be higher if it wasn't for the absolute plethora of 3 threats that he's up
There are
against.
so many 3-threat X-Men. Like, it's not even funny.
I mean, there's already 1, 2. Is Domino X-Men? I can never remember.
Domino is X-Men, yeah. Deadpool
Yeah.
isn't.
So yeah, it's Deadpool. It's not, is it? So there's already 3 on this list.
And I think he's going below all of them.
I think he probably is.
Because, like, as much as we admonish Beast for the whole ambush thing, he's got a size 2 throw at the end of the day.
He also has the medium base, which bumps your value up in X-Men as well.
In the worst flavour of X-Men, yeah.
Oh, does Bobby Drake, does he have a medium base?
Medium base.
I'd forgot about that. So he is
Doesn't
another...
matter. Like, it's the worst flavour of X-Men. No one cares.
Technically, it's the best flavour of X-Men because it's the one
It's
with the highest
really
win rate.
not.
It's the one with the highest win rate.
Has it been a year since the changes to Scott?
It doesn't matter. You can do it from the changes. I know.
It's the worst one. It's the least interesting.
It is the least interesting, I'll give you that.
Ooh, I've got the shittest leader in the faction. Look at me go. Why does Storm not do anything on her own?
Yeah.
Why?
Where do you think then, Quinn? You think below Gambit?
I don't think he's below Gambit. Like, I don't think Bobby needs help, which means that he goes in B. It's just a question of where in B. You know what? It feels kind of apt that he ends up next to Crystal in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, he ends up on top of Crystal.
I mean, Quicksilver and Ronan and probably half the other characters on this list have, so...
Yeah. Ronan's not on this list. He's a 4th threat. I think there's about right. Like, he's fine.
Yeah,
He's just not the
think
best in affiliation. So, B is for don't cheap out here, Quinn.
so.
Okay, I'll let you off. Well,
You think I was going to go with Bobby?
Bobby,
Really?
yeah.
No.
The immortal Iron Fist of Kunlun.
Whoa.
Danny.
You've
Go
done
on.
it the wrong way round.
Is it Danny Rand, the immortal Iron Fist of
It's
Kunlun?
Danny Rand, the immortal Iron Fist of Kunlun.
Yeah, there we go. A very early 3 threat in the game.
Not all that early. I think he was like year 2.
Was it that? Has
I
he been
think
only... Really?
I think it's year 2. Like,
Oh, wow, okay.
Or, like, it definitely wasn't within the first year of releases, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Because he came out around the same time as Sam, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, it was
Maybe,
around,
yeah.
they were within a month of each other, I think. Minimum.
3's across the board. 5 stamina, short base, medium move. Does generate an extra power per turn. which is
Counts blanks
fine,
for everything but Mystic within 3, which is pretty good.
which is quite nice. Yeah, can guarantee turning somebody off and just activating them for a round.
Pretty good.
Generally gets to do it once and then he's
And then
dead.
never again. Yeah.
Stun on the chi strike's fine. Flying kick getting up to a midpoint without having to double move is again fine. At
Having an
least
extra power in Midnight Suns as well, so you can bump and interact as well. It's pretty
bump
cool.
and interact is pretty cool. He's one of the few midline extract players that Avengers have, weirdly enough, because he can pay for the Avengers Assemble and still have
move,
power
grab it.
to be able to move up.
He's no cable extract play in Avengers, but he'll do it.
He's not, no. He also is one of the 2 heroes that you can indeed hire. Arguably, there is a better one that you can hire, but he is one of them. I think he's fine. Like, he can do a big thing with the Iron Fist, but as we know, Quinn, 9 dice is the worst.
Is the worst number of dice. Yeah. It's terrible.
But yeah, like, he's fine.
There's just nothing special about him anymore, is there?
No,
Like,
no, not at all. Not at all. But that doesn't mean he's bad though, right? Like, he's just fine.
yeah,
I don't think he's got any other cards. I don't think he has. I think that is his only one that he has. So
I think
it is the only one.
Yeah, because the Kunlun training card just has a picture of him.
It's got a
him on
picture
it.
of
It's not
him.
actually him.
That highly used card.
Oh yeah. I see it nearly every game. Not like it's been rotated out or anything.
Even before it didn't. So again, I think he's perfectly fine, Quinn. I feel like he's middle of the road. Probably ahead of Beast. At least his place is always happening. Like, if we're I think he's fine. Like, there feels probably somewhere about right.
Yeah, I think so. Like, he's not special. And you can't get any much less special than middle of B.
No, I mean, that is about that. Where it is, isn't it? And B, Quinn, is for
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one of his many forms of martial art.
Have you just made that up, or did you look at it beforehand? Or did you actually know?
To decide.
I'm not sure. I thought he only knew one. What's the thing? I thought it was just Kung Fu that he learnt. Or does he know multiple?
I don't know. Go ask him.
I don't know. Well,
Go find Loris Tyrell and ask him what he learned.
Loris Tyrell learned nothing before filming that series. Oh, look at me and how
I
good.
reckon you could do better fight choreography than he did in that show.
It's a low bar. It's just falling over a little bit would have looked better. Okay, Quinn. A core box character now, an OG
One
core
that
box
saw a
character.
big blow up as well.
Had a huge glow up. Iron Man, Tony Stark, 3-threat version. I mean, there's a couple of things that he's got going for him that's really good. A range for any size push on a wild. He's really good. 5 stamina on his front, 5 on his back, I want to say. Yeah, 5/5, but damage reduction, so fine. He brings some decent tactics cards. He's got a couple of good team-up tactics cards in Ricochet Blast, I want to say, is the good
Ricochet
one.
Blast, yep.
Can bring Helios, should you really wish.
Stark Armory.
Stark Armory now as well, which is really good. Friday AI, which is fine for a little bit of a power dump if you just want to do something, but becomes
Very
really good.
in affiliation, though, with Steve.
Very good, because it only costs 1. And is exceptionally good.
Chucking 6 dice at people. Whoa.
Well, I was going to say as well, on that Unibeam, it becomes much better as well on the other side of his attack, because it is attack action.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yes, he's had a glow up, but he's just an all-round solid Avenger. I don't
Yeah.
really think you're going to see him anywhere else.
He's not like super splashable, but like he's got a lot of cards going for him, and in a world where most of the like unaffiliated cards are gone,
Yeah.
having several good character cards for a very dependable in affiliation 3 threat, I think is really
Well, and
good.
also a character that's probably going to be there towards the latter stages of the game as well, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to get taken off the board round two, so you don't get to use those tactics cards either. So yeah, I think he's again really good under Steve 1. Still pretty good under Steve 2, right? Being able to guarantee that push,
Yep.
almost guarantee that push.
Or the explosive off homing rockets too.
Yeah, which is again, range 5, giving you that bit of extra range. So again, he's not exceptional. Stark Armory, I think, does bump him up a bit.
I think Stark Armory helps, and also Ricochet Blast is so good. Because
Ricochet
you can
Blast
boost it with Friday AI going 9 dice full rerolls.
Costs 2 power,
It's
1 power on each character, is it?
a power reach, yeah. So
Yeah.
under Steve 1, it's 2 power on Iron Man, 1 off Steve. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty scary.
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad at all. So yeah, does he? I don't feel like he's got. Even with they're still only attacks, aren't they? That he does. That's kind of what he's doing. Do you think he does enough to get himself out of B and into A at all?
I think before the latest core box, he was top of B. Now that Stark Armory exists, for a turn, he can do like, kind of a team-wide buff, which I think is one of the things that is, it's one of the things that can get you into A, like Strucker or Zola, for example, right? Like those kind of good in and of themselves of their own activations, but also can help in other ways, I think is what boosts you. And I think that is enough to put him just out of B into A.
But putting him just up behind Strucker, do we think?
Yeah, I think he could go either side of Strucker, to be honest. Like, just he can do a lot.
He is just solid, isn't he? Like,
Yeah.
he is so solid. Yeah, so Stark Armory is it's just extra dice, isn't it? Within X of him, with
pays
X being
X, everyone gets an extra die. Like, going up to 7 dice on Repulsor Blast is pretty grim.
yeah, it really is, isn't
Like,
it?
chucking out 2 of
really
those,
is.
or 1 of those, and a Ricochet Blast at 10.
It's not bad. It is not
Pretty good.
bad. An Aquin is for
AI of the Friday variety.
excellent. Okay,
Best
Quinn.
character now.
Oh, yeah. Next up, we have got Sergei Nikolaevich Kravinoff. I've probably butchered that, aka Craven the Hunter. Best character in the game, Quinn, right? One shots Magneto.
Yeah, can just one-shot Magneto turn 1. Does it every time as well.
It's actually on his. It's an unwritten innate ability he has.
Yeah.
It's just.
It's actually, if you put a black light over the card, it's written there in invisible ink.
Yep. Yeah. Like all his stats are like just pretty standard, right? 3s
But
across
he's
the
got
board. Size
reroll
2,
on
medium move,
everything.
but a reroll on everything, or attack and defense
Which is
does
basically
really
everything.
help. Yeah, it does really help. Doesn't have a spender, but has 2 builders that synergize with each other really well.
And
So
ways to spend power, unlike Hawkeye.
very much ways to spend power. So his Cookery Strike is the range 2 flat builder. Auto bleed, actually, I'd missed that. Maybe there's a Dracula, a Thralls of Dracula character in Craven.
You know what? I might try that when I play a bit of Thralls of Dracula, because I've still not managed to. I've not managed to have a game with the affiliation, but I think he's on the radar for going in.
On the radar, yeah. And then his Spear Thrust is range 3. It's power equal to damage dealt. But if you've already targeted the character with an attack during this activation, he gets to. Oh no! If you've hit him with a cookery strike, he gets to add 3 dice. So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it becomes a 7 dice, 0 cost attack.
Which is a damage power per damage builder as well, not just a flat builder,
Yep.
which is
And
pretty cool.
if you get the elusive off the cookery strike, it also then triggers if this character has been advanced or placed during his activation this turn. He gets to make a medium move. So his action economy, even though he doesn't have a charge or anything like that, is so good.
Yeah.
So good. Corner the Beast, whilst not amazing, can really help with a character like Toad who can get away and things like that.
Or if
So that
you,
can be-
you know, if you've gone in on someone and left them on 1, and you go, you know what, have that, you're not running away from me now.
Yeah, so it can be really nice. Expert Tracker,
So good.
board wide, spend 3 power, put a target on somebody, everyone gets 1 additional attack die.
And you can
this
do it
round.
to multiple targets. It's not once per
You can.
round.
You can indeed.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Craven. I just wish he was in more affiliations.
Yeah, Spider Foes
And Crimson.
and Crimson is his 2, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does have his name on 2 Tactics cards. Founding members being one of them, which, you know.
Do we need to talk about the other one?
And then, well, the best card in the game, Fearful Symmetry.
Oh, yeah, great. You could turn into Core Box 1 Spider-Man. Ooh.
Arguably a 4 threat that is worse than this 3 threat.
And it's not even arguable, it's just straight fact.
It's straight up.
Like,
yeah.
he's way worse than Craven.
Yeah, so I really like Craven. He does a lot of work. I think he is underestimated as a 3 threat splash in places.
But
And I really like him.
Adore Craven. Like, Crimson and Spider-Foes both have very specific game plans in terms of being very tanky boys and just not dying. Craven is kind of the opposite of that in the sense of he's not all that tanky. He's gonna kill whatever he goes after, though. Unless he, aims a bit too high.
Well, apparently a 6 threat Magneto is perfectly fine for him.
Oh, yeah, what's the most dangerous game of all, Rich?
Go on.
Man, that's like the quote, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if he goes after any kind of human model, he'll kill them. Anyone who's not quite human, he'll struggle with.
Maybe.
Also means that based on, prior experience with Magneto, he is all for equality with mutants because he views them just like people.
Oh, that's quite nice of him, isn't it, as well?
Very forward thinking is our Craven. He's a good lad.
With all that being said, Quinn, is he a bit like a Drax where he's at the top end of B? Or is there a bit more with him there?
I think he's very much just like Drax.
Yeah.
If he had just an affiliation that really wanted him, and therefore gave him that gave him access to cards, right?
Yeah.
He'd be in a much better place. But as is, he's good but missing a home.
Yeah, he's missing a home.
We found his home with that automatic bleed. Who knows?
Maybe Thralls of Dracula, is the home for him. So Quinn, with all that said and done, where do you think he should go?
I think he's snuggling up there with Drax, to be honest.
See, I want to say that he's somewhere around about here, or either side of his spider friend.
I'd argue he's better than Doc Ock in any affiliation other than Spider-Foes.
I mean, that is fair, yeah.
That's just the issue Craven has, is he's not designed for the affiliation he's meant for.
Yeah, he just needs a bit of a home, doesn't he? And, yeah, because even some of the other leaderships that are out there, don't know, like you're never putting him in Midnight Suns to
I
get a
mean,
bump, are you?
he makes a better web warrior than he does Spider-Foe because of the ability to
Yeah,
reroll skulls off miles, right?
yeah, that is true. That is true. I'm perfectly fine with him being there, Quinn. And B is for
Uh, bullshit spear throws turn one.
yeah. Well, it was bullshit as well, wasn't it? Okay, Quinn. Next up, Curtis Connors, aka Lizard. You just mentioned Tanky Boys.
Tankiest one on this tier list? Question mark.
He's arguably, yeah. I mean, is he? I'm just looking down at
Four
what
three
we've
three
got.
damage reduction healing factor.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Like, does that beat out and Cantu? Feel like it does, right?
It's up there. It's up there. And
I
what
mean,
he doesn't
it
have
was
as well.
without question when exceptional was a thing, right?
Oh, 100%. What he has, though, is a more rounded stat line 4-3-3 rather than 4-2-4. So he doesn't have anything that he's particularly vulnerable to. I mean, you see him in so many places, Quinn, where he can do a good job.
Yeah.
Size 3 terrain throw and enemy character, which is exceptionally good. Like you say, damage reduction, healing factor, wall crawler, push on his builder, auto bleed and sorry, not auto bleed and slow, but bleed and slow if his builder does damage.
But yeah.
Sorry, spender even. Monkey lizard, monkey brain.
Monkey brain is lizard home.
There we
Yes.
go. Yeah. It's
Like
fine.
a big AoE shove. It's all right.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing
It's-
special.
It's fine. I don't really think that's taken with him a lot. But you see him splashed in so many places, don't you?
Yeah.
Midnight Suns. Oh, no, not Convocation is one, isn't it? Because he can
Convocation.
move up, come back. Crimson.
Yeah, Crimson is all over the place in like, and arguably he's almost endemic of one of my problems with this game.
Pick up a point and run away with it.
I don't like that that's more valuable than a character that actually does something. Like, because it's just not interesting.
It's fair.
Like,
It's definitely fair.
but like he is very good.
He is really good. He is really, really good. Obviously, with healing factor going, he did suffer a little bit, but I would argue that if he was your only healing factor character in your roster, you maybe weren't even taking healing factor anyway.
You mean exceptional, right?
Sorry, exceptional healing. But yeah, medium base, medium move. Like, yeah, he's just real good.
He does a job, and that job is being a brick. Like,
Yep.
that's the end all be all of it.
Yeah, so difficult to take down. Is he egregious enough, Quinn?
I don't think he is because he's egregious in the sense of he does things that I don't like, but that's not to do with him. That's a much broader thing. In Live himself, he's just very good. He's not like in need of down tuning in any way. Like,
No, I would agree. I think
I don't
he
think
is.
anyone plays against Lizard and goes, "Oh, that was horrible. I hate Lizard,"
Yeah,
because he's just kind of there.
yeah. I really like him. I think he does enough to definitely make that A tier. It's just whereabouts on that A tier he goes.
I'd argue somewhere between like Domino and Sam.
That is where I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like about here. Feels about right. It does feel about right. And Aquin stands for
Alligator DNA, because that was probably involved in some way, shape, or form.
is he an alligator or is he a crocodile?
What isn't it like a blend of a bunch of different lizards? Because the whole
Probably
thing was
is,
to like
yeah.
regrow the arm.
Well, isn't an alligator? Isn't one of them a reptile and one of them an amphibian? With
I thought
alligators
the
and
difference
alligators.
is just the number of teeth they had and the positions of them.
I don't know.
Like
Neither
I
of
think
us
the
are.
taxonomy of them isn't like super different.
Fair enough. Quinn, it's the bestest boy.
He's a very good boy. I'll
He
give
is a
him
very
that.
good boy. Very good boy.
Not,
Lockjaw.
you know what? Best boy, in the game at the moment. The moment we get Cosmo, he's done for.
Wow.
He's been taken to the dog shelter once Cosmo comes out.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, 6 stamina, front, 5 back. But that's the way around you want it, right? If you're going to be, you'd rather
You'd
be front
always
loaded
prefer
than
to be
back
front
loaded.
loaded. Yeah.
Size 3 terrain throw, medium, which is nice. Interdimensional Bloodhound. Allied characters roll 1 additional attack die when targeting the chosen character with attacks this round.
It's the Craven
Stacks
thing.
with Craven.
Yeah.
Look, he's not there to do his bite on things, is he?
Not really, no.
He scores you some back points. He moves around. He can do a turn 1 extract. Generates a huge amount of power to pay for things that you want to pay. He's inhuman, so he gets rerolls. Does have a tactics card. It's a trap. Don't use it. Last minute save. I want to say.
Save is the name of it. Yeah, and it's terrible.
Absolute staple of Inhumans, I will say, Quinn.
Yeah, 100%.
He is the battery, right? That feeds into everybody else.
Also a staple of your unaffiliated roster, right?
Absolutely, mate. He's a staple of most rosters that I build. Let's be honest. I'm looking at him now, going, he's got that bleed in a wild. He could be.
That's
in,
what I was thinking. I was like,
could be in Thralls of Dracula.
Right.
He's just all round solid. Tapers off towards the end of a game.
Yeah,
because
like the moment Who's a Good Boy isn't triggering for him, he has a rough time.
Yeah. So that's something that you've got to be wary of. Does trigger on injured or dazed models as well. They don't need to be, as long as they're allied, they can be dazed, which catches a lot of people out. But yeah, I love him, Quinn. Anyone who's watched any of our videos knows how much I love me some Lockjaw. Can do great things. I had a lot of fun for a small period of time running a 15-threat Cabal list with Malekith and Murdoch. And turn 1, he would just push them both up and let them go do their thing. But yeah, I really like him. He's also really good under Magneto because of what he can do.
Throw turn 1, yep.
Being able to get somebody back onto a point after they've been pushed off it is just so good. Can use it on himself as well, so can midline extract play as well, which is really nice. But yeah, just overall, pretty good character. I'm gonna ask you first, Quinn, where you think you should go.
I think it's really tricky because he's very splashable.
He is very splashable, isn't he?
Right.
And in his one affiliation,
oh yeah, like
he is the
every
3 threat
game
of
in
choice.
his affiliation, like pretty much. I think he has to go A tier because of that splashability and that support that he brings.
Yeah.
It's just a question of where in that A tier, and I think it's really tricky to say, in all honesty.
I'm looking at it and I'm thinking like either side of
Zola. Yeah,
there.
I can see that.
Maybe this side.
Maybe that side of Zola. Yeah, I think that is reasonable.
Because I think he's very impactful in his given affiliation, and actually in his given in humans continues to be more beneficial, because even if he's not generating that extra 3 power per turn, if all he's doing is being there to feed power into other people, he's still doing a really good job. And then if he does have an excess of power, hey, guess what? I'm going to put a token on someone, or I'm going to throw a piece of terrain, or whatever it is. Whereas I think Zola for his affiliation. Not necessarily does a little bit more, but I think you could see Zola in more places that you can Lockjaw.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, an Aquin is for
A very good boy.
the bestest boy. A very good boy indeed.
Look, if Cosmo was actually the gender that they should be based on history in the comics, then yes, Lockjaw would be the best boy.
Cosmo's a girl.
In the MCU, yeah.
Cosmo's a girl in the
not comics for some
MCU.
reason. Even though it's meant to be Laika, who was a female dog.
Very strange. Very
I
strange
don't know.
indeed. Carl Lucas, aka Luke Cage Quinn.
I'll have Carl. Or
433.
Charles, as Phil likes to call him for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why. 433, damage reduction, reverse bodyguard, size 2 terrain throw. I never know why it's only a size 2, but yeah, size 2 terrain throw.
Because it's only terrain, like that could have easily been 3 power for size 3.
Yeah.
And it'd get used a lot more, I think.
A 3 threat that can stagger you is just a bit.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it happen, but like the threat of it is just kind of grim.
Under New Steve, because I
It's
feel
a
like
lot
he's
more likely,
played
yeah.
a lot under New Steve because you lose that kind of de facto bodyguard with
Yeah.
Steve himself. I've seen it go off quite a few times because
Okay.
you effectively need one wild, right, and a hit,
Yeah.
and then you've got it. It's just solid. Heroes for hire. Like, yeah, immune to bleed as well. You know, in a world of Dracula.
Like, it's always been a borderline thing. I think now with Rules of Dracula, it might actually be really important.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I think he's solid. Like, I think he's definitely A tier. Again, he falls into that category for me, Quinn, of being really, really good. You can put him out there on a flank by himself. He can go toe to toe with most characters. He doesn't have something that he's particularly weak to because of 433.
Yeah.
He can heroes himself if he really wants to, which I've seen being done a few times. I think he's solid.
I'm not sure if he is A.
You don't think?
I think Drax is better.
Oh,
Drax can throw people, and I think that does a lot for him.
but Drax does have a 332 stat line, I want to say.
332 damage reduction, so overall he has worse defensive stats, but he can throw people, which is huge. He throws terrain that's bigger.
Drax also does clap back like a truck as well.
Yeah, like with Titan Killer and the rerolls for bleeding characters on blades, like Drax
does have
has a lot going for him as well.
He does have a throw on Sweet Christmas. He obviously needs the wild on it, but that's the size 3
it's
throw.
conditional and it's an action because it's part of an attack.
No. I get exactly what you mean.
I don't know. I feel like he's just not quite as good as Drax.
Does Drax need to be bumped up?
I don't think Drax is deserving of A tier, is he?
I don't think so.
And I think by virtue of that, like, our lad Carl needs to go just under him.
Just here.
I think he's better than Craven.
Yeah.
Because of Heroes for Hire, he's better than Craven. If Heroes for Hire didn't exist, I'd say it's a toss-up between the two of them.
That's fair. That is fair. And B Quinn is for
Bleeding, I don't do that.
bleed. I don't think so. I'll take it. Ilyana Rasputin Quinn. A newly addition in the leader category for New
Yep.
Mutants. I think it's fair to say she's found her place in New Mutants.
I mean, that is like, I mean, she's found two new homes recently because of New Mutants and Servants of Apocalypse, right?
Yeah, God, she's so good in Servants of Apocalypse as well.
I mean, she's good in general. Like,
She is.
she's
She's
a really good character.
a a cheap mystic option is never bad.
Yeah.
And she has X-23's builder, but mystic. Like that's not a bad place to be.
Without the reroll, so it's not quite the same. But yes.
Without the reroll, but even so, Limbo Step's really nice. Anytime you can choose the amount of power you spend
Yeah.
to do the thing, it just gives you it's so much better. Bolt's been me, Quinn, I always say it, I love characters who have got a flat gainer and then a power equal to damage dealt. She can start the Charles chain reaction off very easily.
Yeah.
And let's talk about her being, Quinn, the new leader of New Mutants, who have got a crazy leadership. Cry for help. If an allied character is targeted by an enemy attack after the attack is resolved, another allied character within 3 may spend 1 power to use this leadership ability. Place that character within 1. Like,
it's such a massive jump.
It's
like, have an X-23 to the face. Like,
it's crazy good. Crazy good.
It's so good.
She also has what's her other card called? Journey Through Limbo.
Journey Through Limbo, yeah.
Which, placing any character within 3 of themselves and giving them Incinerate is really good. And also has Faithful Companion now as well.
Yep.
With Shadowcat coming out. So the Guardian Dragon. I think she's pretty solid, Quinn.
I really want a 5-threat version of Magic that just goes absolute ham. Because also, in addition to her gaining, new places and Servants of Apocalypse and New Mutants, she's also found a new place as one of my favourite mutants within the past year, Rich.
Oh, that'd be good. Why is that?
Mainly because of Marvel Rivals, because I can do horrible things to people in that game. Because she's a melee character that can kill flying characters by teleporting to them. It's amazing, and no one ever expects it.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think she's good, Quinn. I think she's really good. Where does she sit? Is the question.
I want to say, it's either side of Ock. Because while she is, really good and she's in these affiliations, she's not a splash piece. Which I think immediately means you're probably not going in A. And, the only defensive thing she's got going for her is against Mystic, which is, I believe the least common attack type still.
Yeah, it's...
Because I know Energy has the least tech against it, in terms of the attack types, but I think Energy is a lot more prevalent in terms of the number of energy attacks in the game.
Oh, absolutely
Mystic,
is.
Right?
Yeah. Mystic attacks are the least prevalent in the game.
Yeah, so I think because of that, that's kind of a point against her. If she had just something defensively going for her, if she had, a different version of Parting Shot where she placed within 2 instead of doing a short move, that could be cool, just... something along those lines. I'd like.
She is very squishy, isn't she? That is the thing about her. 5'5", 3'3", 4".
She will just go squish.
A building to the face, and then attack, and she's probably down.
Yeah.
Helps with New Mutants that they can get to within 1 of her and protect her maybe, but yeah. So where are you thinking?
Like I said, either side of Ock. Like, I think she's better than Groot, full
Oh,
stop.
100%.
It's just where she goes with regard to Orc, and I think I'm happy with her there.
I think because of the leadership, because of the cards, I think that's a perfectly fine place
I
for
think
her.
that's fair.
And B Quinn is for
Boltzvoster.
lazy, 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 lazy. What about Big Brother?
Fine.
That'd have been
She,
better.
she she's not the big brother.
No, I
She
know, but
has a
she
big brother.
has a big brother.
Let's go with like Blonde Bombshell or something. Like, I don't
Wow,
know.
wow, wow! You
What?
just, I mean,
You trying to tell me that magic isn't hot? Like, come
oh
on.
God, no, not at all. Cool. Okay, Quinn. On to one of the newer characters now. At least, have we had him yet? I can't remember what's
He's
been
definitely out.
released. Yeah, I think he's out, isn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah. Maverick, aka Christopher Nord. Only part of Weapon X, I believe, is his only affiliation.
Yeah. Which is
Which, when you've only got one affiliation, you're always going to
when you're
struggle,
in
aren't
one
you, a little bit?
affiliation and you're competing against Domino.
And X23. Yeah. Let's go through. Threes across the board. 5-5, I want to say. Yeah, 5-5. Small base, medium move.
Yep, nothing
So
special on the stat front.
kind of standard there. Plasma blasters. It's got a rapid fire on it. Flat
Yeah.
builder, which is nice.
Like
Adamantium
energy
knife.
rapid fire's cool.
Energy rapid fire's cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Doesn't need the trigger for it, but again, that's fine. Adamantium knife with a bleed on there is again fine. And then his Agent Zero. It's got a throw on a size 3 or less. It's got to be away and it's got to be a wild. Like, fine. Hit and run. So a bit of action economy there. I always argue a hit and run is generally not as good as a charge, but
It almost never is.
there you go. This is the big thing, Quinn, that people liked about him or sort of saw about him is
It's
anti-healing.
kind of a selling point, isn't it?
Yeah, anti-healing factor corrosive. So you spend 2 power, it's reactive. When an enemy character within 3 would remove damage from itself, this character may use this superpower. The enemy character does not remove any damage. Now, there are some situations where this works really well. There are some situations where it doesn't work well at all, or just doesn't work at all. So things like patch up, Quinn, we were just talking about, weren't we? The character being patched up needs to be within 3, not the character doing.
The character doing the patching up needs to be
Oh,
within 3.
The character doing
Because
the patching
they
up.
are the ones that cause the removal of the damage, even though it's not them that is having damage removed.
Which is counterintuitive because it states would remove damage from itself. But hey ho.
Well, yeah, but they're not removing damage from themselves. Someone else is removing
Yeah.
that damage from them. In much the same vein, original Thor, his Asgard leadership.
He's removing the damage.
Like if someone's paying a power to heal a damage within 3 of Maverick, so long as Thor isn't within 3, can't use this ability.
Yeah. And then also things like Doctor Strange, who can remove damage. Wong, who can remove damage. It's got to be the person initiating it, hasn't it, that does it.
Groot with We Are Groot.
Groot with We Are Groot. Yeah. So lots of places that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's a little bit too easy to get around.
Yeah, it kind of just becomes a thing of, I'll stand over here.
Yeah. He has healing factor 1 himself, and he's got kinetic energy absorption, which weirdly, I suppose not weirdly actually, is physical, which is kind of what Scott's abilities should be physical because they're kinetic energy.
Yeah, energy attacks in this game are weird.
Yeah.
But like, it's aggressive, but only against physical attacks, and he gets extra power. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Does bring a card. Weapons stash. Maverick may spend 3 to play this card. Can work really well, actually. So choose a secure objective within 3 of Maverick. Place a stash token within 1 of it. while within one of the stash token, characters gain cover from enemy attacks, which is nice because it's not terrain, so they're always going to get it unless they're up against a venom or something like that. And then additionally, all allied characters gain the following interact ability: interact stash token. Remove this token from the battlefield. This character adds 2 dice to its next attack this activation. Which is fine. Like, I think it's a perfectly fine card. Like, I think it's okay. A middle point, something like that. Giving your guys cover.
Super special, is it?
No, but it's perfectly fine. Yeah, he's just a bit of a swing and a miss, his old Maverick, I feel.
Yeah. I feel like arguably this whole box is kind of a swing and a miss. If we're being honest.
Well, we'll get on to Mr. Weapon X. I've had a few games against him, and oh boy, if that guy pops, he can pop. But yeah, only having a single affiliation is always hard. Being up against at least 2, if not 3 other 3 threats, I'd argue Deadpool's doing a little bit more.
I think so.
In there,
yeah.
I think he's just, again, I don't think he's bad. Like, he's got some nice things on his card. The rapid fire on the plasma blasters is cool. Maybe they could have made that range 4 or something just to give him something a little bit different.
I think he'd have been much more viable in a world where Exceptional still existed, because you'd see more healing factor characters, full stop.
Yeah, maybe. Right. So yeah, I think he's fine. Like,
yes.
If you really want to play a team of guys in suits, there you go. He's another one who can, if you want to go with your mech type suits, there you go. There's another one there that you can take. But
great.
Yeah, that's a fill list, if anything.
Make a tier list of them later.
We should do, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's somewhere between Gambit and Mordo is what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'd argue Mordo does more, to be honest.
Yeah, do we think other side of Mordo?
I think other side of Mordo is not quite as bad as Crossbones, because
I
there
think
are only 6 people that are quite as bad as Crossbones.
For the moment.
And one of them is Crossbones.
One of them is Crossbones, yeah. And Sequin is for...
Could have done better. Like, just... Wow. I'm not even going to dignify him with thinking of a good alphabet.
Fair. Mark Spector, a.k.a. Moon Knight Quinn.
Yeah, my boy. My boy.
3s across the board. Stealth, 5/5. Flat gainer with throwing crescents that's got rapid fire on it. Then they've got the bow staff as well. That's power equal to damage dealt. And I always forget this one. He can reroll any number of dice in that bow staff.
And then if he rolls the attack personality, that's 6 dice full reroll.
6 dice full rerolls. Hit, crit, wild, stagger. It's pretty good. Obviously, he's got his multiple personalities thing. You roll the die. Depending on what you roll, it does. I think it's either 2 dice, a power, or a move action.
On a crit.
No. It's a move action.
Oh, it's a...
Make an additional action this turn that must be a move action, which is pretty good. It's pretty darn good. Yeah. But yeah, wall crawler and stealth as well. He is somehow a web warrior, which
AMG, what you doing? Does this bloke have spider powers? No. Why is he a web warrior?
Because he's got wall crawler. I feel like that's a prerequisite. Surprised Toad's not in there, to be honest with you.
Whoa. Black Cat's a web warrior. She didn't have wall crawler.
She doesn't, does she? You're right.
No.
But she is egregious, which is why she's a web warrior.
All right, is that it? You either have wall crawler or you're busted as fuck. Okay.
Yep.
Fine.
Yep. Absolutely, absolutely.
Now that we know the solid criteria, that's fine.
Yeah. Also a defender, also in Midnight Suns. I feel like he's a bit of a staple across all three of those affiliations, Quinn.
Defenders less so, I think, but like Midnight Suns and Web Warriors, like both very much a
Yeah.
staple.
Range
Like,
one bump with throwing crescents is
but the
pretty
fact
good.
that he can benefit from all webbed up with that builder is grim. Either builder, to be fair, because you're either throwing 6 dice throwing crescents at people, or you're like just whacking people with the stick and doing full rerolls.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? Also, Avatar of Khonshu as well. If he does happen to have a lot of power on him that you
Yeah.
need to dump. Chosen of Khonshu is a little bit like the whole magic thing, isn't it? Where like when it comes into play, it can be great, but you know it's not helping him out a huge amount. But he's just solid, Quinn, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's just
he
solid.
just does a lot. Like,
Where do we think he sits?
I'm feeling like he's near Craven.
I'm happy seeing him in somewhere like.
Like, I could also see him other side of Magic. It's kind of like he's in one of those three positions, you know?
I feel like there is about right.
I think
I
that's
feel like
reasonable.
that's
Like,
an acceptable place for him. So yeah. Okay, Quinn. Next up we have
whoa.
got. Oh, sorry.
I've got an alphabet for this one. Wait a
Go on.
second.
And B is
Break his
for.
windpipe. Break his windpipe, Mark.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed Moon Knight TV show. I know it wasn't for
I love
everyone,
how
but
it was just like part of that and Multiversal Madness. Like they both just decided to do like horrible things with glass and feet.
yeah.
I was
Oh
like,
God,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, we'll just do like shards of broken glass and people walking on them. It's like, can we not? Can we not do that, Marvel? Like, why is this your thing now?
Yeah, it is a bit weird, isn't it? Next up, Quinn, Ms. Marvel, a character who I feel like had quite a good turn in the spotlight, and for whatever reason, I just don't see her a lot anymore.
Well, didn't
Three,
she come
four,
out kind of during a drought of releases?
yeah,
Because
maybe,
she came out with
maybe.
Hulkbuster and there wasn't anything for a while afterwards, from what I recall.
But I mean, she gets around the board a lot.
Yeah,
She's an Inhuman. I know Ron played her quite a bit in Inhumans, didn't he?
yeah, because of what? It's not Brand New Day, is it? The team up card with Miles,
A
or
Better Tomorrow.
a Better Tomorrow. I knew it had an A in there somewhere.
Yeah, A Better Tomorrow. Which is just gets
Like
gets people
the amount
around.
of movement that card gives you is insane.
Yeah, Inhuman. So she obviously rerolls, gets rerolls in attack
Yep,
and defense. Size 3 enemy character or terrain thrower.
pretty good. So it's 2.
Sorry, size 2 even. It's range 3,
Range
which is
3, yeah, sure.
which is nice. I mean, in a big size or embiggened, it's a 5 dice builder, but you get 2 rerolls if you're bigger
If
than the
you're bigger than
target.
them, which then is also in addition to your Inhuman reroll. So
Yeah,
it's 5 dice rerolling 3, which is
polymorph
pretty
as well,
good.
so she can interact within 2 rather than
Yeah.
1, which again doesn't come into much, but does help. Only 5/5, but again with that extra 1 energy defense. Again, I feel like she's perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable, but just kind of drifted into insignificance a little bit.
She could have done with something to spend power on whilst embiggened.
Yes.
Because she has no reactive abilities, and she has nothing to do on the side in which she gains the majority of her power. Because she can't go back to being normal and use that power in the same activation because she has to
No.
wait till the end of her activation to go back to normal. So if she'd had like just a defensive thing that she could have spent power on, because she's all stretchy and weird, like it doesn't like it's not unreasonable for her to have a defensive ability. I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I
It's
don't
just
think so.
something along those lines I think would have helped her just feel a bit more
Yeah.
interactive.
So she's in. Where is she? She's. Oh god, I thought she was in Air Force as well, but she's not. She's just Avengers and Humans.
Yeah. Avengers don't need three threats like this.
No,
And
no, not at
Inhumans
all.
arguably don't need three threats like this much.
Is she better or worse than Enchantress in Humans?
Enchantress?
Sorry. What's her name?
Crystal.
Crystal. There we go.
I was going to say Enchantress in Inhumans. Yes, please.
Yeah, because
Bloody hell.
we've got Crystal, we've got Beast, and we've
Beast,
got Lockjaw.
Lockjaw. Yeah.
Is she the bottom of that four, or does she somehow get?
It's really hard to say because I think arguably a lot of her value comes down to whether you're playing her with Miles and doing a brand new tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, let's
Like-
run over that card really quickly, Quinn, because it is so good, isn't it? So, unaffiliated. If Miles is within 2 of an allied Ms. Marvel, both characters may spend 2 power. Miss Marvel normal transforms into Marvel embiggened. When resolving this transformation, place Ms. Marvel within range 3 instead of 1. Then place Miles within 1 of Miss Marvel embiggened. So, 2 characters that you're able to get up the board so
And
easily.
in Inhumans, you can do it turn 1 because of Black Bolt's leadership.
Yeah.
Like, without that, I think she struggles a lot.
Can you do it turn 1?
Yeah. As in round 1, not first activation.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah. So round 1, not turn 1. Yeah. Yeah, it's... So she's got a thing, but
She's
it's kind
got
of
to
just a
think.
one thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with her, right? Like, there's nothing
I don't know,
inherently wrong.
maybe the thing that actually gets her online is Maximus when he eventually comes out. Maybe Maximus's leadership or whatever cards come in that box
Yeah.
will actually really do something for her.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming Maximus isn't going to be a 5, which then means that if he's a 4, you've got more variety in terms of the 3s that you can bring alongside in with that.
And do you think the new Black Bolt is going to be a 6 to kind of give you a bit more of a
Yeah, a bit more of a
spread?
gradient in terms of the threat of various Inhumans. Because I assume Gorgon's 4, Karnak is 3 or 4.
I'd have
Depending on
thought
what
so,
they want to
yeah.
do with him. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, she's fine.
she's all she's B tier. I don't think she.
Oh God, yeah,
eats
yeah,
a
yeah.
great deal. She's just kind of there.
Well, so that it goes back to my question: is she better than Crystal?
Probably. I think either way, you're not taking either of them in Inhumans unless something's gone wrong or you've got a specific strat.
Yeah. So think about here.
Yeah, because once you get past Lockjaw and Beast, you're probably going into Splash 3 threats for Inhumans.
You
Would
really
be
are,
my guess.
Yeah, definitely. And B is for
Bangle.
Bangle. I like it. Okay, Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, the Master of Illusions. I really like Mysterio, Quinn. He is a scalpel as opposed to a hammer. But as a back point holder, he's great. Brings a really good tactics card in the form of
The Grand Illusion.
the Grand Illusion. Yeah, with
No,
just
you have to say it all spooky like.
the grand illusion.
There you go. That's its proper name.
And just turning off crits completely.
Not
For
only
an
turning them off, but turning them to fails for anything that
turning
might
them to
do
fails as
something
well.
nefarious to fails. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think he's solid. Can move people about. Tricks and traps is so good. Yes, 115, but if your opponent wants to attack him, they've got to spend 2 power. Otherwise, he can use his 5, which people might go, oh well, you've got to, it's dead easy to get around. Having to spend 2 power extra on a builder to be able to do some damage
suddenly means that it's like most likely going to be either net neutral or net negative in terms of power gain, which is big.
And the tricks and traps with Stealth Quinn is what really works for him, isn't it? Cheap Mystic. Seen a lot. I think you seen quite a bit in Crimson, don't you? As the back point holder.
Yeah, like I think his most common home is definitely foes.
I was going to say Spider Foes as well. Yeah, Spider Foes. He is Cabal, but I feel like he's up against a bit more in Cabal. But I've had him in there as a 3-threat splash in Cabal.
Mysterio and Cabal has the same issue as Kamala in Avengers, which is they don't need 3 threats.
They really don't, do they?
They've got plenty of them.
They really don't. So overall, Quinn, I don't think he's amazing. I think his tactics card is good, and that bumps him up a bit, but I don't think it's enough to bump him up a tier like some of the other tactics cards are. So for me, I'm thinking he's in B tier towards the top end. I think he's solid.
Yeah, I think he's. Well, once again, I think he's somewhere around Doc Ock. Oh, you were going way higher than I was.
I was going to go somewhere in between. I was kind of thinking here-ish, but I'm also.
I think because of his lack of mobility, I think Magic edges him out.
That's fair. That's fair. Do you think Doc Ock edges him out?
I think I'd be more likely to run Doc Ock in a Spider-Foes list than I would be Mysterio.
That's fair. I mean, we're putting him middle of B tier, by the way, which is absolutely perfectly fine character.
Yeah, that's where you want all of the characters to be because it means they're balanced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Raven.
Oh,
sorry, and B is for?
Best Tom Holland Spider-Man villain.
I'll give you that, yeah.
It's him and Vulture. It's definitely him, right?
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's had if you include the latest film, he's had a lot of other villains from other universes in.
Well, yeah, but they're not Tom Holland villains,
OG
right?
Tom Holland ones.
I mean, I do have a second one for you.
Go on.
Box of Scraps.
Box of Scraps?
Yeah.
Go on.
Because that's the thing, because he used to work for Obadiah Stane, and he goes, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Scraps, yes, I do remember now. I do remember. Raven.
That's so Raven.
Yeah. Mystique, aka Raven Darkholme. Losing Deception. It needed to happen.
Yeah.
But what they replaced it with was rough.
I'd argue what they replaced Deception with is better than what they replaced Exceptional with. Because it doesn't feel like they're actively spitting in your face when you use her card.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, she's still got some really good stuff going on, Quinn. Shapeshifter, meaning that you can't use active or reactive. Sorry, reactive superpowers or tactics cards.
Or more importantly,
really
you can't deal with the devil.
You can't deal with the devil.
Remember that? Oh, what a lovely time we had when that happened.
You can't stop Juggernaut throwing a size 4 building into you and brace for impact with it if you do it on her turn. Stealth, rapid fire on her pistols is really good. And she's still got a pretty good leadership, right? Freedom Force is still a pretty good leadership.
It's all right, yeah.
I wish Expert Sabotage wasn't an action. If
it wasn't an action, it'd have to cost minimum 4, right?
Yeah.
I think I'd make it cost 4 and the train has to be within 3. Do
Yeah,
that, and it can like not be in action.
yeah. Martial
Even
artist.
arguably damage down to 1 on it.
Yeah, maybe,
Like,
maybe. She's one of the few characters who dishes out conditions before damage is dealt.
yeah,
Arguably, it's on an attack that isn't great,
but it's
but
also the most important condition to give out before damage is dealt.
it is absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I she's definitely dropped Quinn. The loss of deception has definitely dragged her down in terms of where she sits.
Yeah, I think like
She's not
before
Splash
Deception
anymore.
went away, she was probably bottom of A. Like she had splash potential. Now I don't think that.
She's
Like
not
it's just
Splash.
not a
Yeah,
thing.
she's not Splash. But I do think she's solid in affiliation. Obviously, she's a leader as well. I mean, I don't even really know at the moment of the leaders of Brotherhood who are the best. I think they're both in a pretty poor position.
Yeah, I think they're both like having a rough time. Like,
But as a character, she's absolutely fine.
she's
Like,
all right, you know.
perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. Somewhere mid to bottom of B tier is probably where she is.
Like I think middle of B is fine. Like
What are we thinking?
I, I was thinking like she's probably just a bit better than Groot
Yeah,
because of Shapeshifter. Like there are a lot of things like in the game now that Shapeshifter really gets around,
that is true.
especially a Ghost Rider, for example. Like and before like the Age of Ultron rotation, like that
Yeah,
was also a big factor as well, right?
yeah, definitely.
Um,
And the fact that you can take characters with her, and if they've got tactics cards, they can use.
yeah, during her turn that then can't be influenced. Like,
I tell you what, I've never seen, and I'm surprised, even especially when she was so splashable, is like Midnight Suns or Wakanda taking her.
uh, Midnight Suns have done it in the past.
Okay, because having
Like,
your
it's
entire
a thing that, like, yeah. Like, having your entire Siege of Darkness be, like, uninterruptible is definitely, like, a thing that she was used for.
yeah, which is pretty crazy. Like that, even though it's only a one-time thing, it's a pretty darn good one-time thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, definitely fallen from grace a little bit with the because let's just check her card now because it's stolen identity, isn't it? Is what it's called now.
Yeah, she can only do it if they've not activated, I think, is the main thing.
Yeah, so
Like, they
choose
just
an
kind of
enemy.
added that qualifier onto Deception, right?
Yeah, choose an enemy character without an activated token within 4 of this character. If there are no other non-dazed enemy characters within 2, you may advance the chosen character its speed towards this character. So it's gone from being a turn or a round 1 play to a round 2 go first with this and then have somebody beat the living daylights out of somebody type thing,
Yeah.
which is arguably nowhere near as good. But yeah, is what it is. And B Quinn stands for
It is what it is, and it was necessary. Uh,
100%.
B stands for Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die.
But I'm blue dabba dee dabba die.
Dabba Die, yeah. There you go. That was a classic from your childhood, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. Eiffel 65. I had that. I had that song. Nicholas
You're
Fury
so
Sr.
old.
Oh, I know I am. Nicholas Fury Sr., Timothy Dum Dum Duggan, and Gabrielle Jones, aka Nick Fury, and the Howling Commandos. I'm going to say it out. I hate multiple characters being on the same base. Let me
It
just.
is the worst thing. Also, they get bonus minus points because he's got the wrong spelling of Duggan.
Oh, of course, yes. With you,
Single G, get out of here.
with you obviously being the superior version, Quinn. Prototype weapons, fine. Like flat builder with a pursuit on there. Grenades is not bad. Guaranteed incinerate is pretty damn
It's
good.
worse than Dominoes. Like, no AoE on it.
Yeah, no AoE, and obviously Domino has
All the stuff
all
that
the
Domino has in addition.
stuff that she can do.
Yeah.
Siblings in Arms, it's fine. Choosing an ally character, place his character within one, or place them within one. Like it's a little thing. It's Medusa's thing. Get your back. It's Bucky.
It's Bucky with a worse gun than current Bucky, which is saying something because current Bucky has a really bad gun.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? But they do have stealth, so they've got that range 4 with stealth, which can be.
Don't forget their incredible tactic card, Rich.
Yes, they do come with a tactics card, don't they, Quinn?
It's so bad. It's so bad. It's called like infiltrate or
infiltration.
Something behind enemy lines. Yeah.
Yeah. If Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos are part of your squad, do not deploy Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos. It is still part of your squad and gains power during the power phase as normal. During an allied character's activation, if Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos are part of your squad and are not on the battlefield, the allied character may play this card. Place a flare token within 3 of this character. During the next cleanup phase, place Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos within 1 of the flare token.
Hey, would you just like to start the game and model down for turn 1? Arguably the most important turn of MCP.
So, I don't know, Quinn, the answer to this. Because you don't deploy them, do they count towards your model count?
In terms of affiliation, yes.
In terms of affiliation, yes, but in terms of activations?
Well, no, because they don't have an activation, right?
So,
otherwise...
Is this a way of being able to
get
priority?
Is that really worth a card and not having a model turn 1?
I'm trying to salvage something from this card, Quinn.
It's really bad.
Yeah, there's a reason you don't play them, right?
Not only is it a really bad card and like they're not great in living and stuff, but as you mentioned, they were the start of the multiple like named characters on a single base trend, which I'm really not fond of. No. If Warriors 3 end up being all on the same base, like I'm gonna be big mad.
I will not be happy about it. But say that, Quinn, I think these guys are fine. Like, they're fine. Whilst I'm not a big fan of them, they're not my play style, but I think they're fine.
I'd rather have like Mordo or Gambit, to be honest, is where I'm at with them. Like, yeah. I think they're C tier.
Yeah. I have seen people play them in Shield. That's the other place they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have seen people play them in Shield, but I think I don't think they are very good. Their clapback just isn't good enough to have an impact. So I think because of that,
they just don't do a lot.
No, not at all. And C is for
couldn't afford individual bases.
There we go. Oh, Quinn.
It's your boy.
A new boy. And Cantu, the living mummy. Let's go through his card. Let's talk about him quickly. 4/2/4, 5/5. Small base, medium move, size 2. Nothing particularly special about that there. Let's talk about living death Sorry, not living death, first of all. Anubis is soul harvester because that feeds into everything else.
A lot of what he does, yeah.
Identical to Hela, when
Yep.
another character is dazed or KO'd, you get a captured soul token. You can have a maximum of 3, or he can generate them by using Sever Soul, which, if it deals damage, gives you a captured soul token. If it deals damage and it dazes or KOs them, you get 2 tokens for it, which is always very nice. Swirly Strike, range 2, power equal to damage dealt. Push if it's size 3 or less. A wild and a hit gives them Hex, which is quite nice. He can do 2 things with his tokens. Living Death, he can spend them. Can spend a captured soul token, and then for each token spent, you may remove 1 special condition, remove 1 damage, or gain a power. This is not limited to once per turn. So if you want to, you can do this, gain a power, and then if you just happen to spike and kill somebody else, you can go, cool, I'm going to spend another one and remove my whatever it is, or heal myself for 1, or just gain another power so I've got stuff. So you can do it as many times as you want. The other thing he can use them for is he can count failures as wilds for when he's attacking.
And it's a fail per token he spends as well.
Yep. For each captured soul token spent in this way, this character may count 1 fail result as a wild, which helps him get his triggers off.
Yeah.
Immune to bleed, hex, and poison.
Pretty good.
Alchemical Curse of Nephrus, so reduces damage by 1 to a minimum of 1. Bookworm, the thing that I really like about this guy is his tactics card. Service to Anubis. Now, what makes this tactic card, Quinn, really good, in my opinion, is the order in which things are resolved. So, he gets access to an attack called Soulstorm. It's an active action, so it is going to use one of your actions to spend this card. But he can spend 2 or more power to play the card. The amount of power he spends is the strength of the attack. So you spend 5 power, you roll in 5 dice. It's an area asterisk. The area of the attack is equivalent to the number of captured soul tokens that you have. Now, you can spend these captured soul tokens and indeed gain captured soul tokens while this attack is going on, spending them obviously to modify dice. This also has the Mummy's Curse on there, which gives out the hex. And at the end of the attack, you lose all of your captured soul tokens. So the ideal scenario, Quinn, is you have 3, you have 10 power after just being dazed, and you do a big area 3 attack, target, I don't know, 4, 5 people maybe, and do a 10 dice mystic attack into each of them. And you've got a way of being able to modify your failures into wilds if you so wish.
I mean, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It's better than pretty good, Quinn. This is crazy stupid, and it's crazy stupid because it's on a 3-threat character who can do this. It's just exceptionally good. Yes, he is susceptible to energy attacks, but even then, he just really doesn't care. If you don't take him out and one-shot him, he's going to be able to heal himself back up. He works exceptionally good in Thralls of Dracula. I would actually argue, Queen, he is threat for threat. He is the best character in that box, I would argue. I think he's probably better than Dracula for his threat level.
As the resident Dracula fanboy, I'd have words.
I know you're going to have words, but I've probably played more Dracula in Encanto than you have. And
you probably have, but that means nothing to me.
But yeah, he's Very good, Quinn. I would argue borderline egregious in terms
Really?
of what he does. An area 3 10 dice attack.
It is good. But like you're spending all of his resources to do it, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't care.
Like
He doesn't care.
I'm fine with good. I'm not sure I'm fine with egregious.
No, I didn't say
Like,
he was egregious. I'm saying he's bordering on egregious.
I could see bordering. Like, do you think he's splashable? Is the question. Because
Yes.
obviously, Thralls of Dracula doesn't count because every
No,
unit
no,
is
no, no, no,
dominated.
no, not at all, not at all. No, I think he is quite splashable. I think if you, I'm trying to think of affiliations where he could work well. I mean, he's
Tell you
already
where
in.
it's not.
Go on.
Steve won.
It's not Steve One. It is not Steve One. Steve Two, however,
Yeah,
could
that I can
be
see.
could be really good. He's obviously already a Midnight Sun, and I think if you speak to most Midnight Suns players, they are playing him at the moment.
Like he like for Midnight Suns, he's that guy in that box
100%.
without a shadow of a doubt. I think.
Yeah, bump, move to a middle point, push somebody else off it. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty darn good. So I think he's got a solid place in his affiliation. I think just because his cost to actually play him, and the fact the card is so good. I think nowadays you're looking for splash characters who also bring
Bring a
cards with them
tactic.
as well.
Yeah.
Like, I just think he's solid. And remember, like, you know, he gets a soul token every time a character is dazed or KO'd. Right? Is there a world where you can play him in somewhere with grunts that are getting, and
Like a
you're getting it,
shield or a Hydra. Yeah.
and all of a
I can
sudden you're
see it.
getting an extra power on him or something turn one, and there's lots of things, there's lots of places I think where he could be put. I think he's really good. I don't think he's S tier, by the way, but I think he has a place somewhere in that A tier.
I'd be happy to put him like bottom of A.
See, I think he does more work than some of those mid boys.
I think he only does that because of the card and because it's a one-time thing. I think that diminishes value within the tier.
That's fair.
Because without that card, I don't think he makes it into A.
No, not at all. I'd be happy with something like this. I think he's done.
Yeah.
He's done enough. He's earned his place. You know, he's a good boy.
Yeah,
He's a good boy.
he's not
Powerful.
right.
Threat for threat, best character in that box. And
It's
A
okay to
is,
be wrong.
and A is for
Awesome Halloween costume.
he's got a good Halloween costume. Yeah, he's got a very good Halloween costume. Proxima Midnight next, Quinn. Oh, I think
She's underrated, isn't she?
little bit of an underrated character. And again, I'm going through this list and I'm looking at characters going, I haven't tried them in Dracula yet. They could be really good.
Can
I
do
know
bleed.
AMG put their whole thing out about how Proxima and Corvus with Mephisto and, you know, whatever else. And I think a lot of people feel like they need to take Proxima with Corvus.
Yeah.
But actually,
People don't realize how good she is without him. Like
3s across the board. 5-6 or 5-5, I think, something like that. Yeah, 5-5.
5-5. Yeah.
Damage reduction. Martial prowess, so she can boost her own dice to 5. And then if you don't take Any damage your attacker suffers 2. Range 3, so long move, range 3 attack with a range 1 place at the back end of it,
That's a
meaning,
lot of movement.
I mean, she can get about the board.
Yeah.
Pierce on a builder, which is really nice. She's solid, like absolutely solid.
Honestly, the only thing she's missing from her attack suite is a flat 1 gain on the spear throw.
Yeah, and I think
Like, I think if she came out today, that's what she'd have.
maybe she would lose the poison if that was the case, but
Maybe. Like,
yeah. Quantum Starburst is probably like her weakest attack, really. I think for 4 power for
yeah.
6, because it has to deal damage as well.
I think the reason it costs what it does is because it's range 4. Like, in my head, I think that's where they did the rationale to make it what it was. I think if it was range 3, it'd
get
have an extra
that.
dice, and I think that'd be better.
I would rather it have an extra dice and be range 3. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And then obviously, we sort of spoke about her as well, wife of Corvus Glaive. So I think she's really good by herself. Obviously, when you pair her with husband, it becomes, I would argue these two combined become somewhat egregious, Quinn. Being able to pretty much guarantee priority every single turn or every single round is pretty darn good. Black Order have fallen off a little bit of late.
Yeah, the Thanos nerfs affected Black Order, but not necessarily Thanos as a whole, because
Yeah,
AMG have, for some reason, a very tough time balancing Thanos.
yeah, they
I
really
don't,
struggle with him, don't they?
I don't know what it is about him, but like,
Well, I don't know if it's
it
balancing
seems like a
Thanos
sticking point for them.
or balancing gems, because realistically, outside of Thanos, Corvus Glaive is probably one of the only other characters in the game who you
That
consistently
uses a
see
gem.
with a gem
Yeah.
attached to them. I know other people. I've seen Space Ebony Maw taken in places, but like consistently like stuck to them. He is the only one.
Yeah. It's almost like the entire time the reality gem has been the problem, and I've been saying this for years.
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
the only gem that's free.
yeah. It should cost something, shouldn't it?
It should cost something, or it should be like once per turn.
Yeah, once per turn, I'd be absolutely fine with. Yeah, because it
Like,
levels it out on both sides, then, doesn't it? Yes, your first attack, but you get to
yeah,
choose,
like
right? So you could have a good roll
you
on your
can
first
choose,
turn, and
but
you
like
choose not to use it.
it's also the fact that like it just works defensively, and because of the characters it's on, it kind of breaks them in a way of just like making them nigh unkillable to a lot of characters.
Doesn't it
Like the amount
work?
of work it takes to kill a reality gem Thanos is ridiculous.
It also works on dodges and interact rolls as
It works
well.
on everything that character rolls dice on. It's silly.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it? It's pretty crazy. But back to Proxima Quinn. Even standalone, I think she's pretty solid. I think
Yeah,
she is a character that is a bit more deserving of being splashed a little bit because
yeah,
she's not doing as much as a Zemo or something like that, or arguably even a Captain Sam, but just that movement.
yeah,
Doing a spear throw into your opponent, they've moved up to a middle point, you move long, spear throw, you're both contesting this point now, and you happen to manage to get off a poison, so guess what? They're not getting any power next round. Like, that's pretty
yeah.
brutal. So I really like her. I think she's really good. I think she is more than deserving to be in the realms of Magic, Doc Ock, Mysterio type placement.
Um,
Maybe even a little bit higher.
I would have been happy with you popping her in A, like just above
Oh,
Encanto.
wow.
Like, I think she is good enough to warrant A. Like, just because a character isn't actively seen to be splash doesn't mean that they aren't splash material, you know?
And she definitely is, right? Like, she really
Yeah,
is. And
she's
all of a sudden,
really good.
you put her into some of these other affiliations where you give her a reroll so she can fish for the pierce and the poison, or you can. I mean, she doesn't really care about having an extra power put into her, but like anything else that can eke out what she can
You
do.
put her in Steve 2 and give her the ability to pierce whenever she wants. Like,
Yep, it's
pretty
pretty
good.
good, pretty good. I didn't think. Do you know what, Quinn? Of all the placements so far, that wasn't one that I thought was going to be up there. But hey, there we go. And an A is for
Agent of Thanos.
Agent of Thanos. It works. It works. Mr. Castle.
He's
Punisher.
not even the best version of Frank Castle, and that's just sad.
Yeah. 6 stamina. So, 6 on his front, 5 on his back. So, slightly above the curve there. 3s across the board. He can, Quinn, he can hit like a truck if he discards those tokens and he uses an aim shot. 10 dice aim shot is quite punchy. The problem is, like, for a range character, why is everything else he does range 3? Like, why is his hip fire range 3?
I really like some of what he's got as well. Like, Spec Ops training is a really good ability. Just
It
2
is
power,
really
get a
nice.
short move. Like, it's great. But, like, he needs some. For a start, I think, like, at a minimum, he should be 4 physical defense.
100%. Yeah.
Like, he's the Punisher. Like, come on. I agree with you on the point about range. Like, he should be range 4 with that hipfire, I think.
Yeah.
Or you like keep him at range 3 with the hipfire, but then give him a second builder that's like burst fire, and that's got a higher range to it. And maybe that's got some like he should give out bleed. Why doesn't he give out bleed? He's shooting people with guns. He needs to do bleed.
Yeah, if he did bleed, he might get in Dracula. Yeah, he's just a bit. And the thing is, Quinn, he's got an amazing tactics card. If this tactics card
was great.
was on a character that could actually do stuff, like, so Blood Red and Personal, cost 4. You got to play it during the power phase, but each time an enemy character is KO'd this round, this character's controlling player gains 1 VP. Like, it's really good. In fact, it doesn't need to be done by him, does it? Oh.
No, actually... the reason it's not great is because you pay the tax of having him in your list.
I mean, that is a thing,
and, like,
right?
He's not doing a lot, and he's not surviving a lot. Like, he's just having a bad time.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. But yeah, he needs a little bit of something, Quinn, doesn't it? To
he needs a lot of something, I think.
Yeah, because he's kind of filling a gap. Like, these ranged characters often struggle. I would argue, with the exception of Rocket and Bullseye, who are 2 threats, these range characters with guns in this game don't do very well, Quinn. I've noticed.
No.
If they're holding a gun, I'm just looking at our list now. Crossbones. Okay, Deadpool maybe is the exception to that. Mystique's
Hood
in there as well.
Spooky guns,
yeah. But
if you've got any kind of gun above a certain caliber,
a rifle, let's call it a rifle, then you're struggling a little bit, aren't you? Yeah. He's just not it, is he? He's not it.
I think like he just needs a full rewrite.
Yeah.
You can keep Spec Ops training and maybe like one other thing about him, but the rest of it needs to be thrown out and redone.
Do you know what I would like to see actually is? Because of all the characters in this list who are above the curve when it comes to stamina, he's a backline point holder with a range 5. It's like, he's the one who doesn't need it.
Like, they could do so many cool things with him as well. Like, they could go for like the bulletproof vest angle and give him like damage reduction against physical. They could go for they could give him like tricks and traps because he's like booby trapped something, or like
I'd prefer to see. Well, is it Killbox that new Bucky has?
Oh, you mean Goblins thing? Yeah.
Well, yeah, Bucky 4's got it as well, right?
Yeah, but it's originally Goblins
it comes
thing.
from there. Get rid of Warzone. Give him that.
Yeah. Like something to protect him as the enemy approach him, I think would be pretty handy.
Yeah, and I do think as well. I mean, I'd almost be happy making hip fire range 4 and rapid fire on a hit. I'd be fine with that as well.
I don't think that'd be reasonable. Yeah.
I don't think he needs. You don't need to. Everything doesn't need to be a buff, does it? But yeah, he is not it, Quinn. The question is, how not it is he? And does the tactics card have any bearing because he's that bad that actually?
I think it's D tier levels of not it. Because also, let's also talk about the fact that he's only in one affiliation and it's not even the affiliation he should be in.
I know. He's in Defenders. Why is he not a Midnight Sun?
Why is he not a Midnight Sun? Like, come on.
I would argue if he was in Midnight Suns.
Oh, he might genuinely have a place because you pop like Blood Ren Personal on your Siege turn and suddenly you've got a little bit of a wombo combo.
Yeah. Maybe,
But no, they didn't do that because that would have been good.
I mean, you could still play that, but you're then taking a 3-threat that's not affiliated.
Like, also, he's not getting the attack off Siege.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say he's better than... So, what I will say is the other 4 characters in D tier don't have a good tactics card with them. And I feel like because Frank brings that tactics card with him,
does he get to sit at the top of the shit heap?
I think he gets I think he gets to sit at the top of the shit heap. Yes.
Great. King in the castle.
King in the castle. King in the castle. Oh, and D is for...
Do a deal with the devil, mate.
Yeah, he really does.
Because he gets a lot better when he does.
He really does, doesn't he? He really, really does.
Okay, Quinn. For the final one, we're going from rags to riches.
Going from rags to riches. We are going to round this video out here. It'll leave us with 23, 24 or so to go through. But as we say, this video isn't just about blasting through them and putting them in a list. We want to give some reasonings behind it and some ideas as to what we could change, as we have just done with Mr. Castle there. But rounding it up, Quinn, is going to be St. John Allardyce, aka Pyro.
Oh, whoa. You've got to say his name with the accent.
Bloody St. John Allardyce.
Oh, yeah, mate.
aka Pyro. I'm sure there's going to be an Australian somewhere that is hating us for those accents.
I am that Australian and I am deeply offended.
Good. The intended effect has happened. 3-4-3, 5-5, I want to say. Yeah, 5-5. Small base, medium move, size 2. All pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
Dishes out Incinerate like it's Christmas. So not does every single one of his attacks have Incinerate on them. He also has a thing called Fire Manipulation, whereby when this targets an enemy character with an attack, after the attack is resolved, if the target character has the Incinerate special condition, this character may choose another enemy character within 2 of the target character. That new character also gains the Incinerate special condition. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Firewall Quinn is not to be
Oh, Firewall is so
underestimated.
good.
2 power just to go root and slow. There you go. Has a boost that he can use, Stoke the Flames. But
Yep.
if he's doing it with his Flame Jet, all of a sudden he's got a Beam 3/7 dice builder.
6 dice, 6 dice. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Sorry, 6 dice. Sorry, yeah, six dice builder. It's he's just solid, right?
Let's not forget he's got a tactic card.
I was going to get onto his tactics card afterwards. Yeah, the only thing is he does drop like a sack of shit if you hit him with a big physical attack.
If people want to beat him up, he will just die.
Yeah. Let's talk about that tactics, Quinn. Pyrotechnics. Pyro may spend X power to play this card. For each power spent, choose an enemy character with the Incinerate special condition and within 3 of Pyro. Each chosen character drops 1 objective token it is holding and is pushed away short from Pyro. I mean, we've just seen how easy it is to get everyone to have Incinerate, and then you can just do this as a follow-up.
The one thing I will say about this card is it paints a massive target on his back.
Huge target. If I'm coming up against the Pyro and this card is in play, even if this card isn't in play, he is generally my number 1 target to try and take down. And with the sort of characters I bring along with me, it's usually not that hard to do. A couple of attacks or a throw or something like that into him, and he's generally going down. No defensive tech whatsoever. But even all saying that, Quinn, I still bloody love this guy. I think he's ace. I think he's really good. But yeah, big target on his back when that pyrotechnics is on your board ready to be played, isn't there?
I think so.
What are your thoughts on him, Quinn, and where do you think he should sit? Because he is only a Brotherhood of Mutants character.
Yeah, he's really good. And I think like when he was initially released, we saw him pretty much everywhere, and then that just kind of died down, right? Like
Disappeared. Yeah, just disappeared.
yeah. So I'm not really sure where to place him because like whilst he is splashable, he will just die to a stiff breeze, and I don't know how that impacts my rating of him. I think whilst he is splashable, mainly because he doesn't have enough affiliations to not be splashed.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like I think he still ends up in B.
I agree. I agree. I think he does some crazy stuff, and if you can get it off, it's really good. And I love that high risk, high reward play style.
Yeah.
But the reality is that you're not always going to get it off, and he can go down very, very easily. He's also not immune to Incinerate.
Well, why would he be?
No. I know that, but like he's manipulating the fire, right? Like,
I know.
Hang on, have you not seen Johnny Storm in Wolverine and Deadpool? Flame on into him, and he just kind of sucks it up and fires it back at him.
Yeah, because those movies are definitely the continuity this game follows.
I don't know what continuity this game follows, if any. But yeah, I mean, I think B Quinn is a perfectly good place for him. He's got some really good stuff he can do, and if he manages to do it, it can be really good. But he is a high risk, high reward character, isn't he?
Yeah, like if he gets to have that big turn where he just goes, everything's on fire now, and everything's dropped its tokens, great. If he doesn't, he can end up falling a bit flat, right?
Yeah, I agree. So where do we think he sits in terms of? Because I think we're both in agreement, B tier, but
near Craven, I think.
In between Craven and I don't feel like I want to put him the other side of Craven. I feel like Craven is a bit more consistent.
Yeah. Craven is more straightforward and less tricksy, but in turn is more reliable because of it, right?
Definitely more reliable with those rerolls, with those extra dice. Arguably does a similar thing to Pyro, whereas Pyro
Yeah.
is reducing the defense dice, he is increasing the attack dice. So
Yeah.
they are not the same, but they are akin to one another. So yeah, I think they're next to Moon Knight. Quinn, are you okay with that?
I'm perfectly happy with that, I think.
Cool. And B is for
Bluey, the best thing from Australia.
I've never watched an episode of Bluey. Interesting list, Quinn. Now we've put them in place, and or 2/3 of them in place. Are there any kind of changes that you're looking at? Are there any you look at and you go, I'm not sure why that character is there, or do you feel like it's a fairly good representation of the game at the moment?
I think it's pretty reasonable. Like, I think like the bottom end of B is an interesting place to just look at after these two episodes and be like, oh, okay. Like that second row of
Yeah.
B is just like, I don't know, those people ended up there, huh?
Well, and maybe that just shows you the level of what a good three threat is in this game.
Yeah.
Because I think it's quite a high bar, isn't it, in terms
Well,
of what
because I believe it's the most common threat value, right? And
I
because of
think
that,
so.
like, there's
Yeah,
just much more competition.
yeah, absolutely,
Like,
absolutely.
I think by the end of like the final part of this, like we're gonna have another one, maybe even two levels of B to go through.
Yeah, maybe at least another one S tier. I would argue. Probably a
Uh,
couple of D tiers.
I think there's definitely there's two D tiers that come in a box together that are yet to show up.
One of them's not D. One of them's not D.
Sure.
I
Um,
played against
like
I played against a list who was running that the other day, and he was so annoyed when none of his things were working. And I was like, "What did you expect?"
this is what you get for playing bad characters. But
Yeah,
like, there's definitely what one S two S tiers coming up. I think.
at least two. At
I don't
least
think
two.
there's a third.
Um, there's an argument for a third. There's definitely
Okay,
an
well,
argument for a third.
we'll see when we get there, I suppose.
Indeed, indeed. Cool, 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 Quinn. Well, thank you as always for joining me. Again, the beard is looking very nice. Thank you guys as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I say, we could have done this in 2 hours and burst them all, got through them all, but we kind of want to put some value behind
You
what we're
don't
talking
learn
about.
anything if we just go, this one goes here, and don't tell you why, and don't
Exactly.
suggest things that could help them if they are in a place where they need help.
As always with the comments, Quinn, there was a couple of people who, did comment on the previous video. And
I saw
did
the one that said I look good with a beard. I appreciate that one.
I didn't see that one. I must have
It
missed
was
that
one of
one.
the first comments on the video. I was like,
Was it
yeah,
really?
go on.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Let me get rid of this. I haven't responded. But we got some people loves that we gave some love to Ock and Drax, but feels like we've missed something on Crossbones too. A 5-die energy beam is solid, and sometimes even a skull boosts it. I still think when you're comparing him against other three threats, I think he's
Does he have any
definitely
cards?
yeah, dig
Oh, he
in.
has the silly dig in card, doesn't he? That is just kind of
Yeah,
meh.
yeah.
Um,
Another one I wanted to address, Quinn, was us giving more love to Domino than Deadpool.
Domino's just flat better in
Yeah,
many ways.
at least in our, and again, this is
Like,
always our opinion. And I think I want to pick up on the Deadpool thing because a couple of people were like, "Oh, you've been harsh on Deadpool there." I think if you go back and watch that, we actually said, giving all that we've just said, Deadpool's still a good character. But I think our point, Quinn, wasn't it for me and you, is that we wanted him to be better. We wanted him to be a Thor threat that could do
we
more.
wanted Deadpool to feel like Deadpool rather
Yeah,
than what we've got, which doesn't really feel like Deadpool at all, if we're being totally honest.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Glyn argued for Domino being S tier as well. I think I said S tier, but then we had a conversation around the egregiousness of something, didn't we?
I think because Domino doesn't have anything to help her action economy,
That's a really good point.
like she just doesn't get there. Like if Domino is spending games moving and attacking, she's just not doing. Like there can be games where if she ends up with like a hammer or two on her, and she's sat there and your opponent is like forced to attack her and what have you, then sure she can be in that S tier bracket because she can feel like nigh unkillable depending on how rolls go. But that isn't the same as being egregious in like pretty much every game you played in,
No,
right?
no, not at all. And then a couple of people were talking about Ghost Spider, saying that she's strong in webs, but that's the only place you see her. I disagree wholeheartedly on that.
One, she can be very strong in other places. It just isn't as often explored. For example, under Steve 1, she can make midline grabs
Steve won.
stupidly good.
She's great in Inhumans, Quinn. Like,
Yeah, I could totally see that.
she's also really good in Air Force.
It's also the fact that, like, even if she weren't also good in these places that we've just mentioned, for a character to make it into S tier, they don't necessarily need to be splashable. They need to be egregious.
Yeah,
It just so happens that a lot of the time when a character is egregious, like with Zemo or with Cat, they end up being splashed. A tier is where you need to be splashable.
yeah.
Like that's kind of how it's ended up working in terms of the rankings.
For the most part, there's a couple of ones where I think it depends, right? When splashable ore, you can be put in multiple places and do a really good job.
Yeah.
Like we put Iron Man 1 in A tier, and I would
Yeah.
argue he's actually not that splashable, but there's multiple
But because
leaders that
he's
he
so
can be
good
played
in
with.
so many places, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to leave it there, guys. Again, thank you for all your comments. And as always, guys, we are basing this based from our play style, our experience of it. We are both fairly experienced players of the game. We've both been playing since day one. We've seen every change, every iteration. We've seen metas come and go. So we have
I've never played a game of MCP. What are you talking about? Stop lying to these people.
This is Rivals, right? This is champion
Yeah.
deck thing. But yeah, we're going to leave it.
About Marvel Rivals. That's why Magic is so good.
We're going to leave it there, guys. I want to give a big shout out to all of our Patreons and YouTube members. Thank you so much for the support. If you do want to support us, you can do so from as little as £1 a month. And also a big shout out to Leodis Games, the sponsor of the channel. There'll be an offer down in the description of the video where you can get some discount or some cash back off your first purchase. Check out the Discord. It's where we host all of our events. I'm going to be over in Stockport this weekend at the GT over at Element Games. So still finalising what I'm taking to that. It's looking like it could be an Asgard roster, but I'm still finalising things up. But so if any of you are there, I hope to see some of you there. And as always, guys, it leaves me just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.
Boo, Web Warriors, boo.